Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Horner. I'm the Director of Music here at St. Thomas, and I'm happy to be joined by our artist for this wonderful cross that we have on the wall, Sondra Gerber. Let's go ahead and have a seat. We're going to be a little more casual with this. I've got a microphone in case you have questions and things as we go along. I have a few things to start with you, Sondra, and just some things that I was thinking about that people might be interested in. So first of all, when did you know you wanted to be an artist as your career, and how did you get started working as an artist?
Well, I always say that I came into this world holding crayons, so probably good that it wasn't a welder. But yeah, I've always been drawn to creativity, and as a little kid, just immersed myself in all things creative. Also love to garden, love to decorate, love all things creative. So there's that. But I did have the ambition to become an artist and be able to do that as a living, as my career. So I was really drawn to that as a career as well. My coffee's getting a little hot. I'm going to set that down. Thought, oh, great, I can join you with coffee, but maybe that's not such a good idea. So in high school, I just was really adamant about it. I want to go to art school. And my folks said, well, we can't really afford to send you to art school. So I was determined to get a scholarship or something to make that happen. And so I just started applying for any type of creative scholarship I could find, and I actually got a scholarship at Colorado Art Institute and got a degree in fashion design. So I originally started out doing wedding gowns and things like that, and so really loved doing that, but just had a desire to just kind of dive in a little deeper creatively, and decided to sign up for some art fairs and started just making whatever things I could with what I had, and signing up for these art fairs and selling my art wares. And I mean, I made all different kinds of things out of wood, and I painted, and didn't do anything in fabric for the art fairs, but really started kind of playing with wire and excited about that. I think I might be already answering some of your other questions. You will have no trouble getting me to talk. I'm a little chatty, but yeah, where was I? Wire. So I wanted to start creating things bigger, and so I decided to sign up for welding classes back in, I think it was probably 2001, maybe. And so, my little small stature coming in, and at the time, I was kind of at the forefront of women that weld. So it was interesting to go in with the mechanics and the farmers and all of them that were looking to learn to weld, and just knew as soon as I struck up that flame that this was it. So I really enjoy metal, and it's interesting how it correlates so much with fashion design. It might sound funny, but you're taking something flat and making it three-dimensional, and just the concepts are very similar, but I do still love to dabble in other mediums as well and combine things. So hence we've got technically three different materials on your cross.
So speaking of the cross, what was your inspiration for what you're calling Divine Intersection, the Cross Art Project for St. Thomas?
Oh, that could be another long answer, but you don't want to be here all day. You want to go out for lunch, right? One of the things that you can't probably see from where you're at is the way this was constructed is the back layer of wood is actually four pieces that come together in the middle. And when we were putting that together, I just thought, wow, it's intersecting pieces. And so I just kind of correlated it. I also thought how neat it is that I have a team of four. So it's my husband, Jason, who's standing at the back, my dear friend, Jennifer, who's sitting, and Troy, who couldn't make it today because it's motocross Olympics or whatever it is it's on, Things are important, But my whole team of four, we create pieces together. I come up with the vision, and they each have their own special way that they contribute. And it's just really neat because we also all four love the Lord. And we are just such a neat community and probably have a very different way of working together than kind of your typical job. And when we were putting the pieces together, I just thought how it really is the four of us coming together to create this piece and pouring into it. And so that was just really neat. But I also see it as in the message today was perfect for correlating with this cross and what it means to us and the story behind it. But even just the idea of community coming together and divine intervention that, as followers of Christ, we are intersecting with people all the time. And, as you show and speak about who God is in your life, you're having those intersections with people and influence. So that's where the name came from. But we'll go ahead and ask your next question, because I probably am on my time quota on that one.
So tell us about the process from design to installation, the steps you took. You started a little bit about the four pieces of the wooden structure, and where did it begin before that? From when you saw what the church was looking for, and you were talking about, and you wanted to do a proposal for us, what were the things that kind of came to you, and how did that process develop?
I think first and foremost, because I'm also a designer, I'm always thinking about the space and the client. So I really wanted something that was fitting to your space, and I saw the warmth and the wood, but it's also a contemporary worship space. So I thought the elements of the wood and the natural feel of that, but also the bright, shiny aluminum, I thought was kind of neat how it fit in with your space. But then also just, I saw your logo with the leaves and the tree, and so I thought, well, gosh, I've got to, bring the tree into that as well. So
it seems that trees are one of your passion pieces. You've done a lot that represents that, and it seems that there was some importance to you that it be a part of this as well, beyond your own feeling about it, but that you thought it connects to what you did.
Yes. I'm also, I think I mentioned I'm an avid gardener, so today's message was really kind of sweet for me to hear. I definitely draw my inspiration from nature. I spend a lot of time out there, and the tree specifically, I thought of in the Old Testament how, well, I've actually got it on my phone. Is it okay if I pull my phone out? I got the Bible app. I'm not texting, I promise. So it's in Isaiah 61, and I'm just going to read Isaiah 61, 1 through 3. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and to release from darkness for the prisoners, which in another version it says, bringing light to the blind. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance for our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty. There's another version that says to give you a bouquet of flowers instead of ashes, which I love that. The oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. And this was a prophetic word speaking about the coming of Jesus and what he was going to bring, and that we would be his mighty oaks. So I think that's really pretty special, too, that he even uses his analogy of nature. So
when you were deciding upon the materials that you were going to use and how you would connect those kinds of materials, what are the steps in the process for this kind of a project?
Like more the construction process? Okay. It's always a challenge because each piece is different. This is a one-of-a-kind piece that's hanging on your wall. So every time I say, yes, this is what I can make, I think. So there actually were a few different ways that I had originally thought that we would put this together, that through the process we changed. One of the ways is that the shiny silver part, the aluminum, was going to have these tab pieces that would step back and hold it on. And once I started getting it laid out in life size, I thought, I don't like how these tabs look on the sides. You would have seen them on the sides. And I thought, nope, so we started cutting them off, and I found another way to put that together so it would be hidden. So I'm very intentional I didn't want you to see any of the hardware that puts this piece together. So it just literally looks like it's just levitating there. And so the first layer of wood was, we took it and used a CNC router machine. So I could load my drawing in of how these pieces would come together. And at first I thought we were just gonna use a good old-fashioned table saw. And my husband's like, why are you making this hard? So we put it on a CNC machine that was actually down at Metro where I learned to weld. They have what's called they call it the co-lab, so it's like a prototype lab, and artists and makers can come in and use this lab. So we went down there and we cut the pieces out, and they were perfect that way. They fit together perfectly, and so we used that, and it's just a router machine that's run by a computer. So that cut that out. Of course, then we had hand sanding and hand staining. And the challenge that we came into is, if you remember 6 weeks ago, today is just a break from what it was like 6 to 8 weeks ago. We had that horrible humidity and heat, but it was so humid that the stains were not, each layer of stain wasn't drying. And so I didn't mention this, but we actually create all our pieces out of my home. So I mean, our entire home is literally a workshop other than our bedroom. So we had it out in the garage, which is our, kind of workshop where we do that type of thing. And it was just so hot and humid, but we have another workshop in our basement, but there's no way we could get this thing into the basement. It was too big. So hence, the cross wound up in the middle of my living room, which, it was pretty much taking up the whole living room. And so we finished our staining process, and we also painted the back of it, just so if anybody ever happens to look behind it, it looks beautiful as well. And then the center layer is that aluminum, and I mentioned Troy. He is the man that wields the big grinders, and so he uses a grinder to create that reflective pattern, and it's quite a process, and I will say that it's definitely a signature look to my work is our intentionality in how we finish that metal on the aluminum especially to give that reflective pattern. So you'll notice if you look at it from anywhere in the room, it will look different. It reflects the light differently, and I know Jason's been having fun with lighting it. So, and then the front layer is actually a layer of steel, and the reason I chose steel for that is, there's some spiritual significance that could be behind that too, but the weldability of steel is a little easier than it is on aluminum, and also that because it's so big, it doesn't fit. A sheet of steel comes in 4x8 sheets, and that is bigger than that. So we had to have that done in several pieces, and then we welded it together, and then had to grind down the weld. And so now you don't see that it's actually made from 3 pieces. So that's also, 3 pieces coming together. And then it also gave me the ability to give it the dimension and to have that kind of flow that we were looking for. So painting the front piece was challenging as well, fighting the weather in that. But that one, luckily, I didn't have to bring it in because we do use like kind of this toxic paint on it. And I'm like, I can't bring that into my... I had to draw the line there. But
So what color was the tree part before you painted it?
It was just kind of that, like if you've seen the color of raw steel, so it's kind of a gray silverish color. But then everywhere the welds are, and then we grind it, it looks like a mess. It looks like a mess before we painted it, because you could see where all the welds were, and it's always amazing when you do put paint over it to think, wow, this looks great now. It does not look good before you paint it.
There's some other work around town and in the region that you have around. Can you tell us a little bit about some other pieces that you've done?
Sure. Right here in the local Omaha area, which I'm working a little bit more to kind of shift that direction. I'm kind of throwing a little extra thing in, a little pump for me. How about that? If you check out sondragerber.com, which is on the screens, I also do wall sculptures and a line of collectible holiday ornaments. So those are all designed by me and made in our shop and brushed by Troy and painted by Jennifer and marketed by Jason. So we we do a line of other pieces, but I am moving more and more into the direction of working larger scale just because it's really rewarding, which, by the way, thank you so much for selecting me. This has been a really fun project, and it's been near and dear to our hearts because of the subject matter. It's actually the first cross I've ever made. I did make a small cross in my regular line for a little bit, but this is really my first. So thank you for selecting me, but I don't think I've even answered your question. What was it again?
Some other pieces that are around town.
Oh, yeah. I had to give my plug first. So I did do a piece years ago for Child Saving Institute, and that is on like 50th and Dodge, something like that, 46th and Dodge. When they did a new building, Child Saving Institute is a great organization. They help foster kids, they help place kids. But they had put in a new building, and I think it is the CEO of the organization or somebody that was pretty high up on the committee, had come into our gallery. That's another thing is Jason and I had a gallery for about 20 years called Blue Pomegranate Gallery. Maybe some of you know that name because we also had moved out to Village Point, so we were there until 2019. Anyway, this guy had walked in during a show we were doing, and he carried up this little small sculpture I had of a family and said, "I really love this sculpture." I said, "Oh, well, thank you." And he said, "Can you make it 10 feet tall?" And like I said, with you guys, like, sure, I can do that. And Jason's like, "And we'll figure it out later." So yeah, we have a big family of 5 with a big glass heart, and it's up on a pedestal with glass tiles that the kids, we translated their artwork onto the glass. So they designed each of the tiles. So that's one, if you're driving down 46th and Dodge, please don't stop your car, but do a quick look, because it's big, and you'll see it right there inside of their big glass atrium. Or you can always go in and visit it if you'd like. And then most recently, starting right at the start of the pandemic, I have been doing a series of sculptures out at Nebraska Crossing. And we have been adding and adding throughout the center. So right now I think we have, how many do we have out there right now, Jason? Like eight sculptures. So we have a couple of figurative pieces, some animals, and just recently there's going to be a Yeti store coming. And so I thought I was going to get to make a Yeti, like the Yeti creature, and they're like, "No, we just want the moose." A moose? That's cool, I'll do that too. So I'm going to do a big giant moose, and then they're going to have a big, huge Yeti sign that I'm actually going to do very sculptural and put a landscape into it. So that's the project I'm working on next. That should be going in about February. Great timing for me.
Nice time to put that one in.
I know, I was just thinking that.
I wanted to make sure we have some time for people to ask any questions
Sure.
that they have. While I'm kind of wandering out here, can you just tell us a little bit about anything that you think would be helpful for us as a congregation as we kind of contemplate this piece? What are the things, going back to the things that kind of inspired you around this a little bit, and I'll have people ask some questions too.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell a little story of what happened this morning. I was sitting at my desk, kind of getting ready to come and reading that scripture. And when I was sitting there, I looked out, and my gardens are surrounded by a creek, a little creek. And I have huge cottonwoods growing out of that creek. And I looked out, and there was a little clearing in the foliage way up towards the sky. And there's this opening, and in the cottonwood, there was this little crutch of the tree. And I could see up in there something moving. Oops, sorry. I could see something up there moving, and I thought, what is that? So I watched a little bit more, and I saw a little raccoon face just peek out, and he's just hanging out there way up in the sky. And I just thought that it was just kind of this little kiss from God that I got to see that, and that I just happened to be looking in the right spot. And when I got here today, I looked at the cross, and this little area up here, this opening, I just felt like the Lord said, just nestle yourself up into me. And, it's like there's that little space there that you can just insert yourself into and just find comfort in who he is. So I thought that was super cool that he gave me that today.
Anybody have any questions or comments or anything you would like Sondra to answer? Absolutely.
My name is Mary.
Mary, wait for the microphone for a second, please, would you?
Hi, Mary Andrews here, and I started out Catholic, and then after a long time of being Catholic and the corpus of Christ on the cross was what I grew up with. Beautiful, meaningful, but as I've gotten older, I've wanted to be part of the cross. I've wanted to grow. And so to me, I'm very inspired by this. It started with, of course, just the simpler version of St. Thomas's leafiness, the one we've had for a while, but this is just a beautiful step in that direction of acknowledging that we are with Christ. We're part of the tree and growing. Even when we kind of don't feel like we're growing, we might be a little dormant, we're growing. So thank you so much for this,
That's
this
neat.
artwork.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question or comment, anything you would like to share? Sondra's going to be around here for a little bit to talk, and if you want to, first of all, thank her and all of that. But please ask some more questions of her and come up and see the cross. Come up close and see what it looks like. See all the pieces. You can actually see where the 4 pieces of wood do come together. If you look, there's plenty of pictures on the website to our St. Thomas website. And you can find that there of the process of them bringing it in. Sondra's posted a video of that installation day, and we've shared that. There's some things on YouTube as well. Make sure you check out the new plaque that is over there. That's Sondra's original design. So the picture that you see on there is what she presented to the committee as we were looking at making a decision on what to put in this space. So let's thank Sondra for her time.
Thank you. Thank you.